We don't have to do any air check or anything like that because I edit these and insert them into there, so we can just start talking about whatever. Yeah, exactly. Pause for editing.
Sing a song.
No, we can do anything we want. None of this could ever air.
Okay. Aw, sadness.
No, I mean I didn't.
I'm in
mean
this
it
basement for nothing.
I know. But I put up these lights.
They are really nice.
Thank you.
This is really nice podcast mood lighting.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Pilot Waves podcast, coming at you from Washington, D.C. And this podcast, for those who ask, is about artistry, it's about technology, it's about community, it's about commerce, it's about the intersections of those worlds and the creativity that is required to survive and thrive in those worlds. Oh, if I had just pulled off that last "in those worlds," that would have been really smooth. But we're going to let this go through anyways because I don't want to keep re-recording. And not that there's any reason to ever tell anyone. It's me reaching out to you to try to humanize myself a little, seem vulnerable. I think this is what this show is about. It's about honesty. It's about honesty in marketing. And on today's show, it's also about Louisa Hall. Louisa Hall is a singer. She's a songwriter. She's a ukulele player. She's based out of the Northern Virginia District, Maryland region, the DMV, if you will. She's going to talk a little bit about supportive parents. She's going to do a rap about Gettysburg, which is awesome. And then she's going to talk about being on the Justin Trawick podcast. And in the spirit of honesty, I'm mentioning for name dropping reasons. Cross promotion. Tell me a story about a time in high school. Anytime you want. Tell me about the first story that comes to mind.
The time in high school?
Something that happened to you in high school.
Oh, gosh. High school wasn't that interesting.
Well, tell me about a story about someone else in your high school that was interesting.
No, I'm still trying to think. That was a surprise question. The time in high school. I can think of creative things, like creative attempts I made in high school.
That's even better.
So when I was in 11th grade, I had an opportunity to do a poem for extra credit in my history class. And I was like, yo, Mr. Liebheimer, like, poetry's not really my style. Could I write a rap? I don't know what possessed me, like, to write a rap.
I know, I was
and
about to say.
Do whatever you want.
Was that your style?
So, no, it totally wasn't. I think I just thought it was funny because my entire life is about entertaining myself.
Sure. Are you a Gemini?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm a Virgo,
Okay.
which seems weird. We're supposed to be like very like strict and detail oriented.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not good at that game.
When's your birthday?
September 19th.
God.
It's International Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Oh, man.
Mark it on your calendar.
I think you told me about that actually, didn't you, at some
Are you
point?
serious?
Someone
That's
told me about
hilarious.
that. I've heard about it many times. I think I'm over it.
But I can't go pirate. Like whenever I try to have a pirate accent, I just go Irish and then I get stressed out. I tried to play like the game of Pirate Life a couple weeks ago, and
It just sounded like Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. Anyways, I'm getting off track. So anyways, I wrote a rap about Gettysburg when I was 16, and that was kind of my first foray into lyrics.
How do you remember any of it at all?
Yes, I remember.
Would you mind?
Sure.
Giving us a little.
Let's see. It was a hot July day in 1863. The rebels were dependent on General Lee. The North had themselves the General Meade. The mofo wasn't quite sure how to lead. Buford from the Union scouted at the land. He saw a battle coming. We need high ground, man. They called Reynolds in to reinforce. Then Gettysburg was on its course. Shortly thereafter, Reynolds got blasted. His famous last words are "then Confederate bastards." And then it continues to.
It's so good. I like
Joshua
it.
Lawrence Chamberlain, he was demand to play a save the day like no one else can. He only had around 300 soldiers, but they busted some caps. I thought I told yous. They ran out of ammo and did a bayonet charge. They won this little battle. His crew was living large. That's kind of it. Like there's a little bit more.
No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Tell me the story about your mom again. I want to get that on I want to tape it.
Oh, she's just the most supportive woman ever. I have really amazing parents. And,
Has she always? Did she know that you wanted to be a musician? Were you always deciding that was going to be part of your life?
I've always been honing my craft in the shower and car. So she's been hearing me sing every day ever since I was probably, 2 years old. But I never really made it into choir, or I didn't even make it into show choir in high school. That made me sad.
Is show choir the one for losers?
I don't know. That's why I didn't make it. Like,
I was about to say, man, my auditions did not go well, apparently.
No, I'm terrible at auditions, and I don't really have any musical training when it comes to singing.
But you don't. But you always knew you had a talent for it, didn't you?
I've just always loved it. So I say that I learned how to sing by listening to, I think it was the 1963 or 64 Billboard Christmas album. So it had, it has Eartha Kitt, Santa Baby, and it's got like some Dean Martin songs.
Does it have Blue Christmas by Elvis?
I don't think Blue Christmas is on that one. It's got Christmas Island, the Andrews Sisters on there. And but I loved that album, so that's kind of what I used to listen to, and I used to sing along to it. And then I picked up a lot of Ella Fitzgerald, so I just kind of learned to singing along to that stuff. So I kind of sound like a male lounge singer sometimes. I
don't know if I totally agree with that, but when you said the Ella Fitzgerald, you hear that in your vocal style. I think that's something that you would pick up on. Is that something that you put in there, or does that just naturally happen because you emulated her?
I think it probably happened just because I emulated her growing up, and that's just what I used to sing along to.
Sure.
And I don't know, but recently I was on the Circus Life podcast, which is another local podcast, and it's so much fun. And I got to record 2 songs in that podcast, and I didn't let my mom listen to most of it because I got a little inappropriate at times. I have a tendency to do that. It's just my sense of humor. It's terrible. But I let her listen to the recorded songs, and we listened to it in the car together, and she was so sweet. She started tearing up because she was just so proud of me, and it was a really good feeling. So it feels good to make your parents proud.
It does. It does. I mean, I haven't felt it specifically, but you can ask her when she leaves. Are you proud that your son is taping people in his basement? And she's going to, I'm tearing up a little bit right now, actually.
That kind of feels like an awkward sentence, not going to lie. You know what? I'm not going to say that to your mom when I walk out. Maybe another time.
Oh, yeah. No, maybe not. I'm just spitballing. We're just spitballing. We got time to fill here.
It works. It works.
I'm not climbing up the walls, I'm not sleeping in the dirt just yet. I'm walking on my toes towards a far-off destination, making calls for reservation to achieve some new elation, making way for celebration. And I'll make way for celebration. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10 times I've tried to get you to warm up just a little bit to me, but you won't listen. Now the pressure's got just a little bit too great for these unstrung pipes to take, and they're gonna break. We'll all be left struggling to make way for celebration. And I'll make way for celebration. And if my bed doesn't float downstream while I'm asleep, well, I'm gonna make it through the night. Yeah, I'm gonna make it I'll make way for celebration. I'll make way for celebration. And I'll make way.
That was Addyville with Big Trouble, Little Pipes. And my pals in Addyville, Robert Higgs, hope I got that name right. Boy, that'd be embarrassing. He has his own podcast. It's called 10 Questions We Always Ask, and you should listen to that podcast too. And we, collectively with the Jellyvision podcast, are going to be throwing DC Podcast Fest, which will be on May 1st through the 3rd, 2015. We hope you will be a part of it. If you want to be a part of it, send us an email, culture@pilowaves.com, or follow us on Twitter @pilowaves. Or you can probably just reach out to me, because if you listen to this podcast, you most likely talk to me on a regular basis. Louisa Hall was a fantastic guest, and I want to send out a special thanks to her for being a part of this podcast, because, for her, to add so much positivity. I think there's probably a couple times in the interview you can hear my voice kind of lilt up, because her positivity actually makes me take notice and think to myself, stop being such a cynical douche. And I want to thank her for helping me change my perspective in that way a little bit. And I didn't mention it at the beginning of the podcast, but my name is Alex Fidelis, and I want to thank you for joining us on the Pilot Waves podcast today. And the music, as always, at the intro is provided by Fat Neo. Let's keep rolling on today's episode with our interview with Louisa Hall. Tell the story a little bit about how you came to decide that you were going to do this more than just in your car and in your shower.
So this past year, I made a commitment to myself that I wanted to perform an open mic, because
Why? Tell us why.
Well, there's a few reasons. one, I've always loved to sing, and second of all, a friend of mine had passed away about a year and a half ago, it's been about a year and a half now. But he used to host an open mic, and I remember I went to his open mic one time, and I signed up, and I got scared, and I left.
Oh yeah.
And then he passed away, and so one of my New Year's resolutions that year was, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sing in an open mic, and I did, and it was really scary and fun and fantastic. And I just started doing some songwriting and everything. And I started taking ukulele lessons with another area artist, Don Kim. Mm-hmm. So he's another ukulele superstar. And
I don't know why I said, I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah, great Don. Yeah.
No, Don is awesome. You should know who Don is. He's fantastic.
Tell him to be on the show.
Absolutely. But basically Don was my teacher, and he was like, you need to do this in front of people. You're pretty good. And he encouraged me to try something called flash band. Mm-hmm. So I've done a lot of flash bands. I'll explain that in a minute.
Great.
And then he also introduced me to Justin Trawick. Mm-hmm. And Justin is also friends with my sister. And we sent Justin some of my music, and Justin invited me to be part of the 9. And this was back in October. So October was
You played at least a couple, at least 2 shows that I saw. Have you played any more with them?
Oh, yeah. I've played quite a few.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I probably do 9s about once a month.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I did my first flash band in October, and then a week or 2 later, I did my first 9, and now I tend to play a show about once a week.
That's amazing. I mean, and you'd be surprised. And when we were talking about how it's sort of going for you, it's going a lot better for you than it has for some people who have been working on this a lot longer. And that's no disrespect to you. I mean, there's a reason for that. And, I think picking it apart would be pretty helpful, Yeah. I mean, not right now. I don't mean let's think about it, know, but the keys to success, sometimes they're not just all about hard work is definitely part of it. And we were talking about that, but it really is knowing people and relationships and knowing that you have a skill, and that's the truth. I mean, you knew that you had a skill. That's why you did the open mic, right?
Yeah. And I mean, bottom line, it is something that, even though most of my songs are pretty silly and everything, it is something that I take very seriously. And I work really hard at it, because it's it's who I am. Like that's I'm music. Like that's what's in my soul, and that's what I need to get out, and that's what brings me joy. So I think about it, at least 70% of the time, and which is probably really annoying to everyone I talk to on a regular basis. So to all of you, I am sorry. All I talk about is music. What the hell?
And you can curse on this show. I do have to tell people that.
Okay.
If
You can't?
You can. You totally can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you're okay with salty language.
Yeah, I'm kind of, yes.
Good for you.
See, here's my feeling with vulgarity. It's really weird. I think that it's okay to be vulgar as long as there's like a wit to it or like a point to it.
Sure.
But then if somebody just has like a vulgar t-shirt, I'm like, oh, I'm offended. I get like
What kind of
I get
vulgar t-shirts
strangely
do you
offended.
run into? You mean like when you're hanging out at the Poison concert or something?
No, like I saw vulgar t-shirts at Ben and Jerry's today, and I was like, those puns aren't okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you register your disgust?
I think I made a face. It was free cone day, and I was really excited.
Sure,
and then
of course, free cone day.
the free cone was delicious, but there was a t-shirt.
What was could you mind telling us what the puns were?
No, yeah.
You do mind telling us what the puns were. I understand.
It involved Cherry Garcia, and I was just like, no, this is an ice cream store, for Christ's sakes.
It involved Cherry Garcia?
Cherry Garcia ice cream. And
Was this an official Ben & Jerry's?
official Ben and Jerry's
And it was a
t-shirt.
sexual pun.
It was a sexual pun. They had other ones.
I never.
There are sexual puns on the t-shirts of Ben & Jerry's, and they are not clever. They're just offensive. But luckily,
You still
they
ate the
had
cone.
delicious ice cream, and that made me feel better. Maybe I was just in a bad mood today. But I was like, these t-shirts are just... Ugh.
That is upsetting.
I know. I get weirdly offended. I'm like, this is a place for children. It's not
know,
a
I like
place
it.
for these horrible sexualized t-shirts.
Won't someone think of the children?
Yeah,
At the Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my most popular song is Internet Love Song, and it is incredibly inappropriate.
Is it about a kid toucher?
Is it about what?
Is it about a kid toucher or something like that?
No.
Oh, see, that's what
no.
So there's two things that I thought of when you said that. One is we were on the Jellyvision show last night, and it was great. We had a lot of fun,
Yep.
but they had they do fake guests on their
Okay.
show. Actually, I probably shouldn't break down the first wall there. And this one was someone who was stalking pedophiles on the internet. Like it was like they were using the sex registry website, the sexual offender registry website, as a dating website.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and so it was funny. It was a funny premise, but I also had the same reaction of you, which is like, that's a funny premise. But then there were a couple of jokes, and one of them in particular, and I'm having to listen to the podcast to remember which one. I actually go, shit, because it like shocks me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to hell.
Too far.
I don't know if it was. I think I just get the heebie-jeebies anytime anyone makes humor in and around the the pedophilia area. It makes me uncomfortable.
That's usually a no-go.
And then the second thing that made me think of is Becca Steinhoff, who you said you listened to her episode. Was that the one? I don't think it's the one where we talk about how she used to meet people on the internet. No, it isn't. No, it's there's a new interview that we have in the can with her. And she discusses when she was younger how I guess she used to meet a lot of dudes on the internet. Mm-hmm. Like when she was like 16 and she would go like hang out with them. Like
Oh, wow.
pals. One time she went to Brooklyn.
Oh, wow.
Like on an afternoon.
That's impressive.
From North Carolina.
Were these like AOL Instant Messenger friends?
Yes.
People used to have like Instant Messenger friends and like Live Journal friends. Oh,
Yes.
back in the day.
She even went out to
Such an
California one
innocent
time.
Well, actually, a lot of my friends had there was a guy that was like our pen pal over in the UK.
Oh, that's nice.
We studied at Oxford one summer, and then I couldn't go for some reason but everybody went and met him at a pub. So he was pretty normal.
I think that it's, I don't think it's necessarily a dangerous activity. It just blows me away that people do it. Mm-hmm. Because it involves, it's like hitchhiking, you know?
It was
I know
a more
it happened.
innocent time. Like we're talking early 2000s.
It truly
Back
was.
then,
Back before we knew the internet was a terrifying place.
Yeah.
So we got off on a total tangent. So tell me about Flashdance, which is what we were talking. Flashdance. Tell me about
Flashdance is
Flashband.
hilarious. What a feeling.
Tell me about the movie
I can jam out
Flashdance.
to that all day. So Flash Band was actually a really great intro for me into the DC music scene. So I believe I think it's about 2 years old now. And it was started by this guy, Neil Humphrey, and he's awesome. He's in a local band called the Family Hammer. And
That's an awesome name.
yeah, it's cool, right? So I don't know if they're still performing or not, but they have some awesome songs. And but basically, every couple weeks or every month or so, they put together some sort of theme, and then musicians register online, and you all meet up and you have this big jam session under this theme. You break off into temporary bands, and you have a show 1 month later, and every band does a 15-minute set. And it's a great way to kind of check out some new venues. They play at Heaven and Hell a lot. I played Gypsy Sally's with Flash Band before, and it's just a great way to meet other musicians. So it's kind of like online dating for musicians, and then
Speed
like the
dating.
jam itself is speed dating. That's the best way to describe it. And I've met amazing musicians through it, and a lot of really great friends.
I really like the way that sets the table for. There's no ego there, right? Everyone's kind of like given the same sort of difficulties. You know, you're kind of thrown into something, so you don't have to worry so much about like, okay, well, I'm going to the, you know what? And I don't know if you've ever experienced this. You go to the jam, you go to your friends like, hey, come jam with my band. Let's see if you fit in, and you're like, oh shit, and then you like plug in your shit, and then like the feedback goes, and you're like, oh god, you know. But I love that kind of stuff because it definitely makes the barrier different, you know. Yeah,
it's really fun, and everyone's always been really welcoming. It's completely different levels of
what's a theme that they would do
right now. There's a 90s theme going on, so there's actually going to be a 90s show at Heaven and Hell on the 19th of April.
Wow. Boy, that's everything coming full circle there. I remember going to 80s shows in the 90s at Club Heaven and Hell.
Yeah,
it
so it's going to be really fun. I'm excited to go to the show.
What is your team working on?
Well, I actually had to opt out because I'm a little bit too busy with my own
so this has all been a big
schedule.
Tease.
I know. But I will do many a Flash Band in the future. It's one of my favorite things. I've done like 3 or 4 at this point.
Okay.
So,
and for you to have all this experience with all these different musicians, have you gotten a feel for just how strong the community is? Is it supportive, or is it scary? Tell the others out there who may be like nervous to get in there.
It's massively supportive. I've met just the kindest people, and so you meet people at these shows, and then they'll come to your shows and they'll tell you about their shows, and like they'll be like, hey, do you want to play on my album, or I'll play on your album, and everyone's just been so kind, and that's been a really pleasant surprise. You know, everyone's very creative and interesting and interested, you know, like, so it's just been really, really fun. It's a great music scene here, and I feel really lucky and even surprised to be part of it. I am like, wow, how am I here? How did I get here?
Do you feel as though, because I know you've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and I'm not trying to take the shine off that and take you back to Ben and Jerry's, to the Bad Puns. Have you gotten any constructive feedback that you found helpful, like the things that you could change or do better?
Told my mama, no, I have to be the only one. Back then I couldn't match a needle to a bed. If you speak that way again, by the morning you'll be dead. I said no, don't feed the host, 'cause it's all over now, and we need you the most. I said no, don't feed the host, 'cause it's all over now, and we need you the most. Yeah, we need you the most. Go set fire to the skies, make them run for their lives. So, go set fire to the skies, make them run, make them run.
thought I was. Teeth on the bloody floor. This is the only way I know anymore. I said no, don't feed the host, 'cause it's all over now, and we need you the most. I said no, don't feed the host, 'cause it's all over now, and we need you the most. Yeah, we need you.
Spanish Noir with Prussia on the Pilot Waves podcast. I don't need to say the name of the show again because you probably are seeing it as a title on your phone. Which brings me to a format, change, not that you care a lot about, but, just to let everyone know, we're going to try to figure out a way to syndicate the show and not figure it out. Like, we don't know how. I mean, figure out which of the syndication things we're going to use for the podcast. And we're probably going to go the same route that a lot of podcasts are these days, which is to try to, syndicate this in a way that can at least make it pay for itself. And in our particular vision, what we want to use the money that could be generated from this podcast for is to put directly right back into the artist's pockets. And, we're investigating a lot of different ways to accomplish that. And, we ask for your help. If anyone, out there has had, experience with some, I would say 501c type organizations. That's sort of the kind of, thing we're trying to set up here. On with today's episode, and again, it's Spanish Noir. They're going to be playing the Velvet Lounge. I'm sorry I don't have the date in front of me. Google it, because you're probably listening to this on your phone, and you can just look it up real quick. Check when Spanish Noir is playing at the Velvet Lounge. It's like freaking, I think it's actually Tuesday, which this episode is going to go up on Monday. I'm giving away too much. Anyway, let's get on with today's episode of the Pilot Waves podcast with a great interview with Louisa Hall. Have you gotten any constructive feedback that you found helpful, like the things that you could change or do better?
Yeah. So, because again, I actually play out with a lot of my mentors, and they've given me a lot of really great advice. Because again, I've only been doing this for a short amount of time. I just started back in October, and one of my favorite pieces of advice that I've gotten is, if you're having fun on stage, everybody else is going to have fun too. So for me, that's kind of my philosophy. If I go out on stage, I'm going to have a good time, and I'm going to bring the audience in on that ride because I want them to have a good time. That's what it's about.
So imagine that someone tells you wake up tomorrow and the world is a different place. Mm-hmm. And suddenly artists are revered and email marketing is no longer allowed.
No.
And they say, you need to use your ukulele. I was about to say your ukulele to make your fortune and fame. You need to make your living. You need to make your livelihood is now your music. What changes in Louisa's life?
Well, I was going to say that I would concentrate more heavily on email marketing because I know it's an effective way to grow your audience.
Is there any place that I could learn more, Louisa?
Well, so there goes that business plan.
Click here.
Yeah. Gosh, that would be pretty amazing to make a living full time with music and doing what I love.
I mean, you know how much you've gotten paid, and you know how much a gig, you know how long it takes to prepare for a gig. Is that a feasible lifestyle in this city for you?
As of right now, with my current schedule, no, that's not feasible. But that's the dream to go full time creative would be a pretty magical thing. But again, you gotta be creative with it. You've got to figure out how to monetize your craft and what do you do? What's your strategy? And
now, why are you okay? Are you okay with saying the words monetize your craft? Because some artists shy away from the idea of thinking about their art in a way that returns to them in a cash reward.
I don't know. Because I don't think that, I feel like if you're producing something of value and you're putting in a lot of work for something, just because it's art, I don't think that you shouldn't be compensated fairly for that.
Sure.
So I don't think that cheapens it, because again, like, people work really hard. You have to take a lot of lessons. You have to put in a lot of hours of practice. You have to put in a lot of hours of songwriting, and transportation to and from venues. And then you also need to, put money into recording. That stuff, it's really expensive. And so as long as you're not just going out trying to make a profit in like a gross, skeezy way, like, oh, this is easy money. Ooh. I think it's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Right. Do you think anyone has illusions that it's easy money anymore, though? I mean, I don't know of any easy money anymore. Do you?
Yeah. It's, I think for me, the first time I got on stage and got paid for it,
right,
I was like, oh my gosh, like,
right,
I'm doing what I love. And I just got paid for doing what the best thing in the world is to me. Like,
right.
I just had so much fun and I got paid for it. But at the same time, like, it's something, it's a labor of love. You work really, really hard at it.
Right. And I think that's a point of interest there, is that there's the idea that if you love to do something, you shouldn't be paid for it. Like that should be rewarded in and of itself.
No, that's bullshit.
But
because you still need to pay your bills.
Well, and I have to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And it's not my reward if I'm on the stage. I mean, if you're into music, you're into it for a few different reasons, but usually it involves like either camaraderie that you experience with playing with others. Sometimes it's the technical expertise that you achieve, the mastery. A lot of times it is the high that you get from performing, though. That isn't what you're actually paying for. Like when I pay money to Louisa Hall, it's not for that performance. Although I'm there to watch it, that's what I'm excited about. I paid you money because you put in the work, and you did drive to the venue, and you did buy strings for your ukulele, all those things. Like that's what I'm actually paying for. I'm subsidizing as best I can your career. And that's what in our opinion, to be on our soapbox for a minute, that's where the community is lacking, in our opinion. They're forgetting that there's actually a responsibility to engage with artists and to enjoy that.
Well, I feel like my job at the end of the day as an artist is to evoke some sort of feeling or response from the audience,
right? Whether
that's just joy or like, oh, this is pleasant, or just to trigger some sort of memory, something like that's my job, is to make you feel something.
Yep.
And if I do a wonderful job and you want to, just be like, you know what, you should keep doing this, with like $1 or even just a high five. Like, I don't care. It's just at the end of the day, that's what I feel my job is as an artist. And getting, even a tiny bit of financial reward for that. I definitely put a lot more money into my art than I will ever make.
So stick with me though. We're now in the universe of where it is your job. What has to change? Because you can't right now, like in the reality that you're in, it isn't a sustainable life. So what do you think you have to, what are the triggers that you have to pull? What are the levers that you have to pull to make more money for you, you think?
I'd have to fundraise.
Yeah, I know, right? Some crowdfunding,
I'd have to raise a lot of funds.
Right.
And make a killer album, and you got to hustle.
Right.
I mean, that's if I was to make it as an artist, it's a hustle. You got to work really hard all the time, and you got to make sure that you keep your vocal cords healthy and that you stay healthy. And because again, like if you lose your voice, you can't perform. Like, and I do play ukulele, but at the end of the day, I think what I'm good at and what people really appreciate is the singing,
right?
Is the voice more than anything. So, yeah, I mean, I honestly don't even know where I'd start.
Well, I like a lot of things that do come up when we ask people that question is the album, the album and the tour that would have to be behind it. Do you think you have the material strong enough to put together an album and tour behind it? Would you be willing to tour across the country to support an album?
Oh yeah. That'd be fun. That'd be great. You get to meet so many people and make so many new friends. That'd be great. Yeah.
So tomorrow you're gonna wake up and I'm gonna say, okay, I got 5 dates booked for you across this country. I need you to go in here and record an album real quick, 2 weeks, and you're gonna be like, I'm gonna get on that.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So
Absolutely.
So would you say put it out in the universe? What is it? What do you want? What do you want Arlington and DC and Alexandria and all the different communities? What do you want them to give to you? Let's take it on an abstract level and good feelings
selfish.
and stuff. But then say something very specific.
I mean, all that I ask is that people enjoy life, and if you want to engage with their community, engage with their community. There's amazing artists here and wonderful people. So, don't be scared. Come on out. Be friends, be friendly, and just get out there. This is such a fun town. There's no reason to stay at home all the time and be sad when there's so many amazing cultural experiences just waiting for you outside your front door.
House of Cards will always be there for you.
That's true. And it's entertainment. It's great. I haven't seen House of Cards, but
Neither have I.
I've done my fair share of binge watching on Netflix.
Who hasn't?
But which is great, but just do that on like a Sunday or a day where there's not as much going on.
Do it in the middle of the night like
Exactly.
I do. Wake up at 3:30 in the
need
morning
sleep.
when time doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, so what about something specific that you want? Do you want a pony?
Do
Do you want an album? Do you want to work with a specific artist? Put it out there. What do you want?
I really want to put together just a beautifully solid album with material that is fun and funny and engaging, and that makes people feel something. That's what I want.
If you could make anyone feel something specific, what would you want them to feel? And I don't mean like just with the album, but I mean like I feel you when you say like you want to make your music feel something, right? But your music does have a certain tone to it. Like it's not going to make a lot of people feel deathly sad,
Yeah.
But what are you normally aiming for?
Joy.
Joy. Do you think there's a too little joy in the world?
No, the world's awesome.
Good.
No, I think I just don't want people to take life seriously. You know what I mean? I feel like one of my strengths in life, and I think it's also something that makes me different from a lot of people, and I know there's a lot of people like me out there too, but there are people that can see, in 10 years, we're going to laugh at this, or in 5 years, or, in a month or in a week, we'll be able to laugh at this. But right now this sucks. I'm the kind of person that can see that something is hilarious the moment that is that it's happening. And I kind of want to spread that around. I think it's just fun. There's no reason to take life so seriously,
Right.
Depending on your beliefs, like we get one go on this. And so there's no reason to not enjoy it,
Right.
especially if we're, there's a lot of hardship in the world, and I don't want to downplay that. But just start doing stuff now, or
Sure.
start making baby steps towards what you want to do. And in a year or two, it's going to feel like 5 seconds have gone by, but you'd be amazed at how much you'd accomplish. Like, again, last year, my goal was to do an open mic. Now I'm performing at least once a week in some of the best venues in the area.
Good. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you,
Oh, it's my pleasure.
spending your very valuable time with us.
Oh, anytime. All right, so this is called Internet Love Song, because my titles are really creative. So, all right. Go to the internet. You're looking for a date. that you're curvy, it means you're overweight. Then you get an alert in your inbox one day. Let's see what these gentlemen have to say. Hey, you look like a sub. I don't mean like a sandwich. No thanks. Please don't write me, sir. Hey, hottie, let's get naughty. You wanna have a little fun tonight? You know what? I think I'm good. Please don't write me, sir. Oh, what you would do for love. Oh, and if there's a God up above, he's not surfing Match.com. Go to the internet. You want to seal your fate. This is depressing. You start to feel irate. Then you get an alert in your inbox once more. Let's see what the Yenta has in store. User nice guy 69 says he wants to show you a real good time. No thanks, please don't write me, sir. User Mr. Mrs. Allen Bird says, hey girl, you want to be our third? Fuck off. Please don't write me, sir. Oh, but you're getting older now. Oh, and you remember how they say your eggs dry up at 30. That don't mean you're down to get dirty. So guys on the internet, you're looking for a date, and you see a pretty lady who is slightly overweight, and you get up the courage to write her one day. Here's a little hint of what you shouldn't say. Hey, you look like a sub. I don't mean like a sandwich. No thanks. Please don't write me, sir. 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 Thanks.
That was really good.
Thank you.
That was Louisa Hall with Internet Love Song. And I want to take some time right now to specifically thank Louisa Hall for being on this podcast. You know, she was an incredibly talented and earnest interview. On the show, she spoke very openly about trying to use her craft to craft herself a business, to try to get paid for her art, to understand that there is value in exchange, and we appreciate her time, you know, talking about these things. And like I said in one of the earlier segments, you definitely hear me, you know, kind of stand up and take notice, because, you know, there can definitely be sort of a cynical edge to this podcast from time to time, and she brought me, you know, a little bit full circle, not just during that particular interview, but then also again and listening to it this second time. And one of the fascinating things about taking so fucking long to to upload an interview with someone is that it gives you this sort of time capsule feeling, which I really enjoy, and I feel badly because it does come at the expense of uploading this quickly for the benefit of the artist, and for that we got to find out something better, you know. And I think that, you know, I also wanted to take a moment to point out that, you know, on this podcast, you know, we talk very strongly about what we think, you know, artists, you know, should value, that they should value their time, that they should value the time that it takes for them to make their craft worthwhile. And we do believe those things, but we also believe that art has just an inherent value in and of itself to be changing with no monetary value whatsoever. And we would never, ever, try to say that we know for sure how things should be in the city, except we are asking specifically for you in the community to listen to these stories, because we believe that you will be further embedded with the artist's success, because there's real dollars and cents, and there's real creative energy, and there's real lives on the line here. And we appreciate your time listening to the show. Thanks very much.